Hi friends and family. I have for today, I have a chair and I have 3 blankets. They could be anything, like any kind of chair is fine, a dining room chair, nothing squishy, like you wouldn't want to use a living room chair, but some sort of firm seat, and then some kind of height. If you have 3 of the Mexican yoga blankets, that's great. If not, you can find, a quilt or something like that. And I had a little request for a class on getting up and down we'll start with getting up and down off of a chair without using any hands. Okay, so this comes in handy for us over time. Okay, so you're going to start with your hands on your hips. Now I have a blanket on the chair to give myself a little bit more height, makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so I'm sitting toward the edge of the chair. A little bit of my thighs are on the chair and certainly the buttock bones. I roll the shoulders back. You're going to press your feet down and you're going to really do your best to not turn your toes out to the sides, so the feet point straight forward. And as we get up, you want your knees to track as straight forward as you can. Okay, so shoulder blades into your chest, lift up through the pelvic floor, press into your feet, and you can tip forward a little bit, inhale, come up. And same thing on the way down. It's a little bit more of a challenge getting down because you wonder, is the seat going to be there for me? And yes, it is. Okay, press your feet, inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. Now try with the arms up. Okay, reach up through your fingertips, push into your feet. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. Okay, a little bit extra challenge or more challenge, you can take your blanket out. If you had a problem getting off the chair with the blanket, certainly don't take it out. Maybe give yourself a little bit more height. And for some people, it's challenging work. So even if you just make it up a little bit and then down, and up a little bit and down, that's fine. That's good work. Okay, so now if you want, you take out the blanket like I did, hands on your hips, roll your shoulders back, press into your feet, inhale, come up, exhale, sit down, inhale up, exhale down. One more time, hands on your hips, inhale, come up, exhale, come down. Take the arms up now, we'll do 3 this way. Come up, and down, and up, and down, and one last time, up, and down. Okay, so stay seated on the edge of the chair. So my sitting bones are almost right on the edge of the chair now. And let's bring the feet together. And start to walk your feet back a little bit. Now we're not going to be coming up right from here right now, but what I want you to access is a stretch in through this area here. Okay, so right next to the shin bones, and walk your feet back far enough with the feet together so that your heels just start to get a little bit light on the floor. Okay, so the heels are a little bit light, and now it's taking effort to press them down. Okay, so there's effort in pressing them down, and you're feeling this big stretch happen here on the outer shins. You probably also feel your quads engaging with the feet back like this. So this is more of Utkatasana. Right? This is Utkatasana, sitting in a chair but yet doing the work. Now, if you feel it's possible, you press your feet down, you inhale, come up. Now the legs are together. And go back. Inhale, up. Okay, you feel the legs working a little bit more in this version, perhaps. One more time, up. And down. Okay, and then give your legs a stretch this way and point your feet or open up the front of the ankles. And broaden your collarbones. And now push out through your heels. And then just come up to stand without using your hands. And put your chair to the side. And now we'll take our blankets. As I said, I have 3 here. Okay, so even just sitting down on these, it's, you know, if you have to use your hands, if this is a big deal for you to sit down like that, then you can certainly get down with your hands and see how it goes on the getting up portion first before you go downward. All right, so here you can allow your feet to be a few inches apart, but again, try not to let your toes turn out to the sides. That causes a whole bunch of, like a cascade upward of not so good biomechanical stuff. If you let your feet turn out to the sides, the arches tend to drop, the knees tend to hit toward each other, it gets translated up into your lower back, which is what we don't want. So here, even though it's harder for most of us to keep the toes pointed forward and the knees tracking straight ahead rather than going inward, it's better in the long run to try to practice that way, even if you don't get very far. Okay, so now we're in Malasana. Okay, so my heels, your heels, should be as close to the blankets as you can get them. And your buttock bones should be as far forward on the blanket as you can get. So there's a tight flex here in the ankles, in the knees, and also in the hips. And the arms are forward. And you're going to press into your feet just as before. You're going to shift yourself forward a little bit. You can test this out by leaning forward. Now, as you lean forward, don't you feel that similar stretch come right here into the outside of the shins? The tibialis anterior muscle starts getting activated, and some of us really need this work. For some others, you might feel more of a stretch in the Achilles. Okay, so you're leaning forward and you're backing off. Lean forward, back off. Also coming forward like this, it can be a nice broadening stretch on your lower back. Come back. Okay, now this time we're going to lean forward and we're going to come up. Arms up. Now, knee problem people, if you have issues with this, if this causes you pain, don't do it, right? Or you can do it maybe holding on to something. Okay, come back down. Come up and back down. Up and back down. Okay, and you could keep going. You can take a blanket out. You can take another blanket out. Some of you with a really, really rockin' Malasana, Martin, you know who you are, who can do Malasana easily on the floor, flat feet, and be strong enough to come up. You can practice like that. It's fine. All right. So now cross your legs and sit up tall and just let the thighs release a little bit. Take a couple breaths here. And this one I think is more challenging. And you're going to see because it looks more challenging when I do it. With the legs crossed, I'm going to attempt to come up. Again, knee people, just be careful and do what you need to do with this or skip it. Okay? I'm going to attempt to come up, and inevitably on my weaker side, I'm going to get shifted sideways a little bit. Okay? And there's a good chance that you will too. So I'm here. I'm going to press. First it turns into the outer edges of the feet, and then the feet get flat. And you see I go off sideways, right? That's okay. And then I cross over again, and I make my way down. A little bit not graceful, okay? But I made it happen. And then I'm gonna switch the cross of the legs. And I think this is my more graceful side. We'll see. I practiced earlier. I press. Yeah, okay? And I come up. So I didn't get thrown off to the side on that one. And back down. Okay, so let's do the first side again. And again, people who want to try, if that was super easy for you, go to 2 blankets, go to 1 blanket. Try from the floor. Okay, so here we are. This first side again, I press. Whoop, it was easier that time. And down. Second side. I press and down. Okay, so there's fun things to play with as you're in your homes. It's a beautiful day today though, the sun is shining. So I hope you are enjoying. Okay, the next one is, now this one here, some of you know this from taking class at Body and Soul. It requires, I think, more room than we're going to show in the camera here. So I'm going to see how far we can go. So the first thing you want to do is just lean back and shift your hips. Can you see, it's like I'm making windshield wipers. Can you see that my feet stay wide apart? That's really important because there's room for my knees to go to the floor that way. And you're getting a nice lower back opening here. Just breathe. Okay, next part, we'll pause with the knees over to the side and we'll take one arm up. Come back, shift, shift, shift over to the side, arm up. You see how this hip is up? And I get a stretch through the side, and there's weight on my hand in the back here. And I come down, shift, shift, shift again, come up, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the weight off of this hand in the back, and I'm going to come up like this. Okay, so it takes a little bit more strength. My torso is more upright now. And then I go back, shift, 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 arm up, I stretch, and then I come up. Okay, so there's more activity going on here. Arm back down. Turn to the side, to the side, to the side. One more piece. Arm up. I shift upward. And now here's what happens, and hopefully you can see this over there. I bring this back foot. I bring it forward. Okay, so now I'm facing my windows over here. I'm facing this direction. I have this front foot here anywhere I want it so that I can get leverage to do that. And then to set back down. And then to come up again. And to set back down. One more time. Up again. And back down. This folds back. I shift. 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 Arm up. Other hand hand off the floor. This back foot comes to the front now. And I put it anywhere I think it needs to be in order for me to shift forward and up. And back down, and up, and down. One more time, up, and down. Okay, those of you that have, whoops, sorry, need to go back here. Those of you that have done this with me know that there's one more piece now, but we'll leave that as a surprise. Maybe for when we see each other again. Okay, so you're just opening the lower back here. Okay, and now what you can do is give yourself, I'm going to turn these mats here so that I have, but actually no, I'm going to take a blanket because you have a blanket and you probably don't have two mats. Okay, so you want your blanket folded in along like a lasagna noodle. Those of us that talk about pasta shapes for blankets come from the lineage of Jeff Logan, who we all miss very dearly right now, myself included. All right, so there is your lasagna noodle, and we're gonna go back to this business here, this shifting. Okay, except now, when I turn this way, I'm going to come into pigeon pose. Okay, can you see me? I'll slide back, I hope so. So my knee is bent, the heel is at the other hip crease groin area, and I'm rocking a little bit to help to loosen up. I'm on my forearms. And if you can, you keep reaching that straight leg back behind you. You could rest your head on your forearms if you'd like. You could reach your arms straight forward. Take a few breaths here. And then push yourself up. Okay, we'll transition back here. I'm a little askew now. So I will hop back over here, here. You don't have to travel like this. I'm just doing that so I can stay kind of in the center. And then we come into pigeon pose on this side, and you can rock a little bit. So obviously this is a piriformis stretch. I feel that right in the bent leg buttock muscle. And some of you guys feel it in the groin too, in the bent leg groin, inner groin. And if you can rest your head on your forearms. Few breaths. And then push yourself back up. Okay. You can turn and turn and turn and come back to center. Stretch your legs. Go ahead and take your chair. I'm going to turn this way. So, well, first of all, my legs are going to go like that. Okay? My legs are going into Upavishta. All right? And what you'll want is your chair. Legs are in Upavishta, and you'll want your chair here so you can press your hands into it so that I keep a lift up through the, from the tailbone all the way through the crown of the head. You want to stay as lifted as you can. The legs wide, the back of the knees pressing down, the toes spreading. And then you can start to slide forward, push your chair forward. So the chair is keeping you from rounding too much. It is creating more of an opening in the front body than if we were to just go flat out on the floor. You come a little further if you'd like. At this point, if you want to go to the floor, you can certainly do so. And then you can climb back up. Same thing with Baddha Konasana. So I take Baddha Konasana. You press down into the seat of your chair so that you can keep as lifted as you can. This is a little bit harder to stay lifted in the spine than it is by doing this. You see how I get more lift with the hands behind me? But this gives us a different kind of strength and connection. Okay, so you release your legs down as much as they'll go. Nice deep inhale. Exhale, come forward. Breathe. And deeper opening in the hips. And again, if you want to go right down to the floor, you can do that. And then inhale and come up. Okay, bring your legs forward. Paschimottanasana. Similarly, you're going to take your arms up, bring the hands here. This is like a little bit of a Dandasana forward, right? Slightly pitched forward. You keep the toes spreading, the back of the knees pressing down, and then slide your chair forward. Lift up through the side body. And stay with your breath. And then inhale, make your way up. Okay. Where'd my other blankets go? Here, there. Right, I have my other two blankets here. If you need your third, you can take it. That's just for a little bit of height. I bring the chair in pretty close. And I'm going to take Virasana. If Virasana doesn't work for you, do something else. I'm not with you to give you an alternative. I guess you could just sit in Sukhasana, okay? Pressing the hands on the chair. So the toes are pointed straight back, and I'm going to sit down. Again, if you can use less height, you use less height. Now, here's something interesting. I obviously have one of these yoga chairs, but I think a lot of different chairs could work for this, you know, just a typical dining room chair. What I'm doing is I'm pulling this in so that the legs of the chair are about midway down my calves, my thighs. And then I'm pressing out into the chair. Okay, I'm pushing out into the legs of the chair. You take your hands here and you press. And you create a lift. So that pressing out into the chair does something very nice in the sacrum. And it helps to keep a lift up in the lower back. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. And you'll keep your legs activated here. spreading the toes. But what this also does is it helps to get the outer edges of the feet to press down and the toes to spread, the little pinky toe down on the floor more than it would be if you weren't pressing into this chair. So you lift up and then release, and you can stretch your legs and your feet and your ankles and everything one at a time, going back a couple times on each side, here and here. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my chair to give you the first option. We're going to do a bit of a foot stretch. Just folding this up again. All right. So here would be, I guess you could say, the easiest version of this. You can hold on to the back of your chair, the sides of the chair, and what you're going to do is turn one leg out like this. Let's get this one just out of the way. You turn one leg out and you're trying to get your toes to point to the side, the toes tucked underneath like this, and then the other foot doing the same thing. Okay, so there is version 1 of this, which some of you may need to stay with. The other way, I like to have a wall behind me, is to take your stack of stuff, whether it's blankets or blocks, the higher the better. Okay, so now I have the support of the wall, so I'm not going to fall backward. And I'm doing the same thing. You see how the feet are pointed? People with bone spurs here, really be careful with this. Don't stay too long. Okay, if your feet don't like this. This is strong on just about everybody. You know, everybody's going to feel a stretch here, but if you know that you have issue there, just be careful. So you'll notice that the toes want to come forward, meaning they want to slide, I guess, away from you, and that the heels want to push back on your support. So of course, what do we want to do? We want to do the opposite of that. So you want to take your fingers, your thumbs, push the heels forward a bit. Okay, now you got a bigger stretch in there, and you're probably feeling this elsewhere, maybe in the groins. Okay, and you just keep going with that. You see how I have the ball mounds of the feet together and toes out to the sides, and I push with the thumbs. And you're either doing this or you're sitting in your chair doing something like this. And getting a stretch in the bottoms of the feet. So this turns into that pose that we're not doing in this lifetime, at least I'm not, where the feet are like this, but they're up here. This is what I got, so this is what I can teach you how to do. All right, push forward with the heels, lift your chest, and then release one at a time. And after that, there's a good chance you're going to want to like crinkle up your toes and maybe move the ankles around a little bit. You can make circles with the ankles and the feet. And crinkle up the toes and release, and crinkle and release. And point your feet. And then push out through your heels. And then you can practice once again getting up like we did in the beginning, with no hands. You can get rid of these. You can go back to your chair. And I'm putting the chair up against the wall. And I'm hoping you can see this. I know my back is to you, but hopefully this is okay. I come in really close to the chair. Chair has to be at a wall, okay? I press my feet straight down. I take these blocks here and I put them underneath my sacrum. I press down on the sacrum and take Baddha Konasana with the legs. So the chest is lifted. And you're taking a few breaths here. And then you'll bring your knees up and you can take your legs straight out toward the chair now or toward the wall. This is like a gentle version of shoulder stand. Couple more breaths. And then bring your feet back down to the seat. Lift your buttocks up. Take the blocks out, lower down. Pause here for a sec with your calves on the chair. And then you can roll onto your side. Come on up. Put this to the side again. Let's see, I don't want the sun right on my face. Lots of things I've learned from having to film in this room for the last month, where the sun is at certain times of the day, things like that. Okay. You lie on your back. Take your arms out to the sides. Bring your knees in toward your chest. And then bring the knees over toward the right elbow. And you're reaching out into your left arm. I let my legs come to the floor here, okay, if they will. Your legs may not go to the floor, but if they can, it does give a nice stretch in the lower back. And the more you reach out with your left arm, you get a nice stretch in the left pecs as well. Breathe and let go. You can slip that hand underneath, push your legs up. Go to the other side. Reach out into your right arm. Use your breathing to help you to release in the lower back. Slip that hand underneath, help push your legs up. And now take hold, if you can, of the outer edges of your feet. Now, if that is not going to work for you, you go and you find a strap somewhere, even though I told you you didn't need one in the beginning of class, or it wasn't on your list of items. And you can hold with the strap here, okay, around both feet. But if you can get both feet. You let your legs go to the sides a little bit here, like Baddha Konasana at first. Then you squeeze the inner thighs toward your ribs and you just rock. You just rock. So the lower back should feel nice and broad and open now. There's a broadening in the sacrum. And you're getting this little massage on the side, the muscles on the sides of the spine. Keep your breathing soft, keep your eyes soft, and just keep pushing out a little bit into your heels. So again, like the work that you did before, you're not letting the toes go out to the sides like this, so it's not Baddha Konasana. Just rock. You want to spend a little bit more time on one side, you can. And then back to center. You can hug both legs in, or with your rope there, you hug both legs in, and you can do the same. Okay? The rocking is a little bit, in a way, more challenging here because you have to push a little bit. But then you have your elbow on the floor there that you can push off of to come back up. And you can make circles with your knees. One direction. Circle with the knees, other direction. And then bring your feet down and relax in Shavasana. And get the physical body situated so that it's not bothersome to you in Shavasana. If you have glasses, you can take them off. And just practice letting go. And take a deeper inhalation. And you can bend your legs. And roll over onto your side. Take a pause. And then use your arms, to push yourself up. And sit up just with the eyes closed for a moment. And then gently open your eyes. I hope you're all well. I miss you. I'll see you soon.